What's going on, you all? Welcome back to the Prophletics Podcast. I am your host, Coach Reese, Manator Tubarao, owner of Prophletics Boxing, Fitness, and Capoeira in Harvest, Alabama. Make sure you send a like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bells, because I want to get right into the topics that I'm getting into today, and it is training in either weight training or boxing training should be simple. If you turn on the internet right now, you turn on Instagram and you turn on even YouTube or you turn on Facebook, it appears that everybody who is trying to get a certain amount of followers or something to that extent is doing something way outlandish or over the top to appeal to people who are trying to either A, box, get in shape or whatever, or trying to gain a following through influence. Super dangerous thing. For instance, on Instagram, there's a guy named Coach Blue. Coach Blue, quote unquote, is a calisthenics specialist. In my opinion, I would narrow him down to a calisthenics specialist because he can do things in the calisthenic world that a lot of people can't do. So his highlight videos look very great. You know, he'll get up and flip into a handstand and do a forward flip and backward flip. And I don't know if he's military or whatever, but he had on the military like paraphernalia at that time. So he's flipping and twisting and doing all of this, whatever the case may be. So he attracted his audience, right? After you go to his page, what you'll see is how he kind of demeans the regular fitness world. And what I mean by that is, and I get it to a certain extent because some things in my opinion are just not like functional, but I have to pull myself back and realize that anytime you can squeeze a muscle and make a muscle work in the fashion that it's supposed to work, it's functional. What people mean when it comes to functional in today's fitness world is the ability for different muscle groups to work together in order to perform a specific function. So it's downplaying isolation, which isolation means working one muscle group at a time or attempting to, because no matter how hard you try, you cannot work one muscle group at a time. So he is on that isolation is pretty much pointless workout, theory or whatnot. So what he'll do is he'll get on his Instagram, and if you go check it out, you can if you want to. This is no plug for him. I don't know him. I've never met him. We've never even interacted on social media. However, a lot of the things that he does on his social media is completely pointless. For instance, I saw a video 2 days ago where he was hanging from a barbell and he would twist up and roll out from the barbell, up and down, twist up, roll out, and, bragging about how functional it is. I don't know about you watching this video, but I can think in no point in my life, and I've been living on this planet for 45 years, where I would use that movement. I'm not a cliffhanger, so I'm not gonna hang off a cliff and reach down and pick something up and put it back. Like, the lengths of proving that functionality is better than isolation that a lot of people go through is absurd. And you really look like a jerk. And you really sound and look foolish. People are going out of their way to change what works. What works may be isolation for some. What works for others may be a little bit more of a neurological transition between muscle groups, depending on what they do. But these people who go out of their way to minimize people's efforts like that are real tools, real jerks. I'm trying to keep it clean and PG on here, but they really make butts of themselves. And it's really pointless. Like I said, if you go to his page, there are plenty of other things that he's doing that are completely pointless. Jungle gym, pretty much he's one of those jungle gym guys in the gym. Somebody who's flipping over something and jumping over something and doing all this other stuff, these acrobatics or whatever the case may be, saying that this is functional training, this is what every human being should do in order to improve their quality of life. How does that work for a 70-year-old? The average 70-year-old. How does that work for the average 60-year-old? How does that work for the average anybody? The average 10-year-old? The lengths that people go to with these extreme methods of training is insane. Simple is the best way to put things. So I'm going to stick to the fitness arena right now. I'll go to the boxing in just a minute because we got some, okay? So in the fitness and the fat loss and things of that nature, it's simple, right? You find 3 or 4 different exercises per muscle group and you do progressive overload. I know you've heard that over and over again, but you should get stronger over time, right? 6 to 8 reps, 8 to 10 reps, 10 to 12 reps, 12 to 15 reps. Make those muscles strong. With those muscles getting stronger, that is a solid sign of the increase of muscle tissue. The increase of muscle tissue means that this body is now more metabolically active, which means you burn more calories, A, during exercise, B, during rest. You're strengthening your muscles and you're making them function. So stick with the basics. Stick with the absolute basics. Sorry about that. My son texted me. But stick to the basics. That's all you need. Don't get outside of yourself. A lot of these Instagram people are doing these amazing quote-unquote feats that you and I can't do. Anybody from a 85% basic population can't do these movements. Yet, you want to promote it like it's supposed to be an everyday lifestyle. And Coach Blue isn't the only one. It's others too. You have to train for what you do every day. Nobody's going to go out there on an everyday basis and try to do backflips and try to do all of this goofy stuff that he's doing on his IG channel. As in, a lot of people are not going to do things that football players do or basketball players do. They require different neurological movements and different muscles to work together to perform different movements. The average everyday Joe does not. What does the average everyday person do? Vacuum, go to work, open their mailbox, stand up, sit down, walk a certain length of steps. They're not doing overly Olympic, or athletic feats. So why would you train like an athlete like that, or an extreme athlete? I do believe in training like an athlete, don't get me wrong. Why would you train like an extreme athlete like that when that's not your everyday life? And the thing about that is, I can't even 100% be mad at people like Coach Blue and these other functionally boasting trainers, quote unquote, because who do I really get mad at, or who should I really get upset at? The person who is promoting it or the person who's listening, as in it being the gospel, or as its truth, or as its fact? I can't be mad at that. I can personally be mad at it because I've got experience, I do what I do, and I've been, doing it for a while. However, the average individual, they're just being hoodwinked. Listen, I'm gonna need y'all to use your common sense when it comes to that, all right? When it comes to boxing, I have been seeing a lot of the same thing. I don't know what it is in the influencer world that makes people think that just because a feat is more difficult or a little bit fancier looking, that it's more effective. I saw a video the other day of Malik King Scott. he was training the guy. So he's got the noodles in his hands. So he's doing the noodle drill. And for those of you who don't know what the noodle drill is, or a noodle drill, you have two different pool noodles in his hands. And he's throwing the noodles like, he's supposed to be punching at the opponent. Your opponent's job is to move, work on his slipping, work on his eye coordination, his rolling, and his pivoting. Very effective drill, right? Super effective drill. Drill's been going on for decades. Very effective drill. There came a point in this drill after he threw the combination at the fighter, where he dropped the pool noodle. And it was the guy who was training's job to catch the pool noodle before it hit the ground. In what way, shape, or form does that translate into boxing? It doesn't. If I'm fighting you and my hands are up, there at no point is going to be any time where I can drop down, or that I will drop down and tie my shoe. We have to stop doing things in training that don't translate into fighting. I'll say that again. We have to stop doing things as boxing coaches. Please, if you're a boxing coach, please understand. We have to stop doing things that don't translate into fighting. What sense does that make? If he's already working on his defense and already working on his reflexes, if his opponent spits the mouthpiece out, is he going to catch his mouthpiece for him? No. At no point in time, we have to stop doing movements that don't translate. That makes no sense. People got on the thread, and this was on IG as well, and they defended that posture by saying it's reflexes. In what way? Reflex should reflect reality. Reality was the noodles that was being thrown at him. The fact that he had to slip this one and roll under this one and roll under it and keep his eyes on the patterns that fists actually make in the boxing ring. At no point in time does a fist go down. At no point in time is there anything down there to worry about, because you're not kicking. People just do things for likes. People do things that make no sense for likes on the internet. That stuff, I'm trying not to cuss, that stuff does not translate into boxing in any way, shape, or form. The same thing with these individuals who brag about increasing punching power. Listen, this type of stuff irritates the hell out of me, if you can't tell. Maybe it's just the naivete of humans in general. But the one drill where people are putting the kettlebell on the ground and then picking it up and then punching, saying that they're increasing their punching power. They are missing an entire mechanic when they're throwing that cross. For y'all who don't know what's happening, let's say I'm sitting down in this chair right now. I have a kettlebell right by me. I have a glove on one of my hands. I stand up and I throw my hand. For some reason, somebody out here in the world has told the world, the viewers, that you increase your punching power by standing with a kettlebell and twisting and throwing a punch at the shot. Up and down, rep over again, rep, boom, rep, boom, rep, boom. Listen, man, what is the main mechanic that's missing? The pullback. So if my left hand is out, I don't put my hand back down when I throw my two, do I? Or when I throw my cross, do I? This would be where the kettlebell was. It would make more sense to improve your rotation. That's where the power is going to come after you produce power out of the ground from doing things like deadlifts and doing things like trap bar deads. Increase the rotation. With you holding that right there, there's no rotational increase. What about landmines, landmine presses, things that actually strengthen the rotary plane. Boxing and combat in general, because like I told you, Capoeira and boxing, they both tie in together at some point in time. And I think a lot of the martial arts do. They are rotary when it comes to power trajectory and when it comes to shooting strikes. Just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's cool. It's not. These people are selling you fallacy. They're doing it for likes. That crap right there will not translate into any more punching power. You want to increase your punching power? I just told you 3 exercises to do so. 1, trap bar deadlifts. Punching power comes from the ground. The more that you can lift and the more force that you can produce is the more power that will come up to the core. So we're going to be working a chain, right? And this is one of those kinetic chains that is effective, or that's effective for this sport. This is not for average everyday people, like I talked about earlier. This is for the boxers. You work your kinetic chain. Punching power starts where? The ground. Trap bar deads, undefeated when it comes to that, right? Hit your trap bar deads. Once you're able, or trap bar deads and hip thrust, get your ego out of it. Dudes don't like to do hip thrust because a lot of people think, oh, it looks feminine that I'm doing hip thrust. I got this, and and I'm working my glutes or whatever. Glutes is a power muscle. Glutes are power muscles, okay? Right behind the quads. If not, I believe they said that they're stronger than the quads. I have to go back and do my research a bit. Quads, glutes, hamstrings, power, okay? No strong glutes, no power. So, trap bar deads, hip thrust. Now that we've developed the legs and the base, what's the next part of this kinetic chain that has to be strengthened? The rotary plane, right? The core, but not straight. You don't want to work on a straight plane. You want to work on a rotary plane because all of your strikes, whether you're in boxing, whether you're in MMA, whether you're in capoeira, no matter what you're doing as far as striking, you have to rotate in order to strike. Rotation is power. So what can you do for rotation? The landmine press. You can go to my page and find the landmine press, or I'll shoot a new video on landmine presses, or I'll make an entire video about this instructional-wise tomorrow. Okay? So you've got your landmine presses. You've got med ball throws, where you're actually grabbing a heavy med ball and you're getting in your boxing stance and you rotate and you throw that ball in the form of your strike. Remember, you have to perform this in the form of your strike. So if I'm doing a landmine press and I'm pressing that bar up, you see how I'm bringing my left hand, which is my lead hand, back to my face as I rotate to throw the shot, as I rotate to throw the punch? You have to do everything as if you're actually boxing. Same thing with the med ball press. If I go grab a 30 or 40 pound med ball and I get in my boxing stance and I'm ready to throw it, I'll balance it shortly on my right hand, pull that left hand lead like I just threw a one, and as I throw that shot, I will snap my hand back to my face, because bringing that hand back to your face is part of the rotation of bringing power into a cross. It's not just throwing off of the right plane of the body, which is what people are doing when they're holding that goofy kettlebell, doing that goofy drill, standing up and just rotating half their freaking body. That doesn't even make any doggone sense. Listen, boom, snapping back. That is part of the power into a two. So while they're talking about throwing power harder, it is not. It's something goofy and trendy on the internet. The next thing that you can do is isolation holds. So what you do is you get in your boxing stance and you get against an object that cannot move, like a wall. And you press and you follow through on that wall and you hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds, rest. then press again, rest. So there are things that actually translate into reality that you guys can do instead of these goofy drills that these trainers are doing. And I hate that Malik King Scott fell into that trap because he is a known guy. You know, when you have a big following, you have to be careful with what you do with your big followings. These guys can misguide their following. They are misguiding their followings. Both Coach Blue and Malik King Scott, they're misguiding their followings. It's doggone near like follower abuse. And you're building up this hope into individuals as to where they think they're going to be able to do more than what they can do. It's just not reality. It's just not the truth. Reality is you have to work a certain plane of motion for those boxing drills. Reality for the average person who does gym workouts is they don't have to focus on none of that stuff, okay? I have 65-year-old clients. I think 65 is my oldest right now. And I've trained older people before. I don't have to train them to do Capoeira AUs and cartwheels and boxing punches or whatever the case may be. They need their muscle strong. They need to avoid sarcopenia, which is when you gradually lose muscle as you get older. That's where their functionality is, everyday living. They're not going to jump in the boxing ring or jump in the hoda. So you have to be careful who you follow. Make sure you have a reputable source behind yourself that you can ask, hey, is that cool? Like my fighters do it all the time. They'll see a video and they'll send it to me in the fighter group chat. They'll send it to me and say, hey, is this legit or is this not legit? If it's legit, I'll give them a thumbs up and let them know, hey, that's legit, that could work. Even if it's something that is new. Like I'm open for new stuff as long as it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna tell them it's trash and tell them to get it out of here. And I will tell them why it's trash. And there's a lot of trash. It's a lot of quality out here too. There are some quality coaches out here, but there are your trash coaches that slide in as well. One more thing that I want to talk about is winning fights, right? What I mean by winning fights is strategy to win a fight. And basically, I'm going to stick to amateur boxing, okay? In amateur boxing, a fight is not 6 minutes. A fight is not 3 2-minute rounds. A fight is exchange by exchange. And I'll break down what I mean by that. How you win the fight is not thinking, okay, I have to win this round, or I have to win the next round, or I have to win the round after that. How you win a fight is telling yourself play by play. So in a football game, right? They go play by play. They go, okay, I have to make sure that I execute this play right here to gain X amount of yardage. And then in the next play, I have to make sure that I do the same to gain X amount of yardage. Football games go play by play. Boxing matches also need to go play by play. What is the play in boxing matches? What's the equivalent to a play in a boxing match? An exchange. Your only focus as a fighter, an amateur fighter, should be to win the next exchange. Win the current exchange and focus on the next exchange. Don't worry about how much time is left in the round. Don't worry about any of that. Worry about and only focus on the compilation of exchanges won. It's really that simple. If you focus on exchange by exchange, making sure that you win the better of the exchanges, which means you land more shots in the exchange than your opponent threw, you're going to win the fight. Now, you have 6 minutes to do so, and you should be in great condition to do so, but your mentality should not be on, I got to win all 3 of these rounds. Your mentality shouldn't be on, I have to win this round. Your mentality shouldn't be on, okay, I lost the first round, I won the second round, I got to win the third round. You're only focused, or your only focus should be, I got to win this exchange. I'm winning this exchange. Then I'm going to win the next exchange. Then I'm going to win the next exchange. Then I'm going to win the next exchange. That's the only thing that occurs in a boxing fight. A boxing fight is a series of exchanges between two individuals. If you minimalize the picture, it becomes a lot clearer to you what the purpose is and what the point is. I hope that makes sense. I hope that clears up a lot of misconception, because people get into the boxing gym and they start training, thinking about rounds and rounds and rounds. Yes, you do have to have the lactic acid buffer to last for the 3 2-minute rounds, or whatever the case may be. If you have to fight 3-minute rounds, or whatever the case may be, yes, you have to acquire the lactic acid buffer, and that comes with your conditioning. But the strategy when it comes to chess, when it comes to being the brain in the ring, is exchange by exchange. Focus on the exchanges only, and you will become a dominant fighter. Strategize the exchange. Have your combination set. Shadow box your combinations so your body is already used to moving a certain way. Don't try to go in the ring or get out into sparring and work on combinations you never worked on before. You should have already shadow boxed these combinations. Your body should already be neurologically programmed to do this. You're not going to do it on a whim. If you do, it's going to be luck of the draw. You don't leave anything to luck, and you don't leave anything to draw. You go out there to dominate. And the only way to dominate is to make sure that you dominate each and every single exchange. That's how you win fights. Hopefully you like this video. I hope I shared something of value with you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know your feedback. Let me know about these trainers that you see online, these physical trainers, these fat loss trainers, or whatever the case may be. Let me know what you think about some of these boxing coaches who have people doing nonsensical things that don't translate into the ring. Let me know about your theory on how to win fights. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.